Is Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn. Welcome. Thank you very much indeed.
Nice to have you here.
There is a lot to talk about, so we'll crack straight on. We'll try and do this 2 or 3 very, very big subjects. Let's start, first of all, because this is in the news. People worried on the streets, worried about terrorism. You've been attacked today in the Sun newspaper by Boris Johnson, who claims that that the country is not safe under you. He says that you'll bow down to Britain's enemies. He claims that Labour leader's long history of siding with the IRA, Palestinian terrorists and the Kremlin makes him a terrifying prospect as PM. Our country's future security is at stake. Are you going to keep us safe?
Well, it's colourful and ridiculous language. Obviously, the first priority of any government is to make sure everybody is safe.
Should a terrorist serve a life sentence?
It depends what they've done.
Should life be life?
I think prison sentences should be decided by courts, and the management of the prison sentence should be also decided by a combination of the prison service.
Assuming that you win the general election on December the 12th, you know, Diane Abbott could be Home Secretary, and she has called for the abolition of conspiratorial groups like MI5, and you've demonstrated and said similar things.
I'm not calling for the abolition of any of our services. I am calling for accountability of our services, and that's a point I've often made in Parliament. Indeed, I want to empower Parliament to hold government to account, because I think at the moment Parliament has insufficient powers to hold government to account.
Let's move on to the NHS, which is another big political football, vital, obviously, to many voters. They want to know what's going on with it. President Trump has said this morning on the NHS, "I have nothing to do with the NHS. I don't know where that rumour started. If you handed us the NHS on a silver platter, we would still want nothing to do with it." In the Sun today, senior Tory Bob Seeley, an expert on Russia, says this has raised a really vital question. Has Jeremy Corbyn been an unwitting tool of a Russian disinformation campaign? This relates to the dossier which you held up.
Well, I held the dossier up because it had been released and I'd seen it. And at no stage until today, when this new conspiracy theory arose, has anyone challenged the correctness of that document, the veracity of that document.
It was allegedly downloaded from Reddit.
You've pledged to plough in a huge amount of money into the NHS, and you can absolutely understand why, and that sounds wonderful. However, where is that money coming from?
Well, we have to properly fund our public services, and if every last bit of our manifesto carried out would still take us only to the level of public services in France and Germany. That's how far we've fallen behind. And it will come from a combination of tax rises for big business through corporation tax, which will go up to ultimately 26%, which is still less than it was in 2010 and actually rather less than it is in most other European countries. And the only people that feel a tax rise are those in the top 5%.
And if you do, I mean, it's sort of said that if you rise corporation tax, and that will be passed on to workers in the form of lower wages, so it will impact everyone.
No, listen, a rise to 26% is what is less than it was in 2010, less than it is in most industrial countries, actually less than it is in the United States. When I've raised this with the CBI and other business organisations, they didn't welcome the tax rise, but they said it's something that I believe they could live with.
But it has been said, and the Institute for Fiscal Studies has said, and as Holly pointed out, possibly lower wages. But I think for many people watching now, you hammer big business, prices go up. And so where you say you're going to help the many, not the few, everybody's prices go up, the rich and the poor.
Listen.
We should discuss anti-Semitism within your party. You have come out and sort of apologised on this. It seems that this sort of has been the hardest word for you to say.
No, it's not. It's not at all. When I became leader of the party, there were no processes in place at all to deal with cases of anti-Semitism.
The chief rabbi Ephraim Mirvis has said that Jews are justifiably anxious about the idea of Jeremy Corbyn becoming Prime Minister. A poison sanction from the top has taken root in Labour. 130 cases of anti-Semitism were outstanding against Labour member. So here is your opportunity now to apologise to the Jewish community for any anti-Semitism by Labour members.
Our party has... Our party... Can I make it clear?
Just say sorry.
No, wait a minute. I and our party...
No, just say sorry.
Come on, let me say... Can I say something?
Well,
our party...
I want you to say sorry.
And our party and me...
Yeah.
Do not accept anti-Semitism in any form.
So are you sorry for anything that's happened?
Obviously, I'm very sorry for everything that's happened. But I want to make this clear. I am dealing with it. I have dealt with it.
Are you just exhausted with all of this?
No.
You must be. I mean, everybody's exhausted this time of year. It's coming up to Christmas. There's so much more to do anyway. And yet you're doing this day in, day out. Aren't you just like, don't you just want to sit back and put your feet up and go, is it all worth it?
No, not a bit of it. Me. I go around with a notebook everywhere, little notebook. Got it here.
What are you going to write about us today?
What am I going to write about you? What a charming morning I've had here.
Are you sure?
Well, of course I'm sure. So
No,
What happens to you if you don't win?
Well, I'm intending on winning.
But if you don't?
Listen, my principles, my life, my work is the same whatever I'm doing.
Would you still be Labour leader at the end of, if you were Prime Minister, or whatever happens on the 12th, would you still be Labour leader at the end of the next term?
I hope so, yeah.